you ready?
Hello everybody, and welcome to week 30 of the weekly Weeaboo Club. Yeah.
Yeah, woo! The big 3-0. Now we're at Craftsdwarf's age in weeklies. We do one more now. The weeklies are older than Crafts. I can't believe it.
All right, that's how it works. Yeah.
Yeah, 31. It's older than you. It's exciting. Yeah.
So comments. So apparently, there's someone who watches this podcast who has seen Cartel 2045.
Yeah, I saw that. Nakar says, "Holy fuck, I watched Cartel 2045." Okay, but you didn't. That doesn't explain. Do I watch it or do I not watch it? Is it better to or to save it? I still am not sure, but I cannot believe that there's someone out there. Like, what are the fucking odds? Not just that, oh, someone has seen Cartel 2045, but that someone listening to the Weeb Club has seen Cartel 2045. In what world is that real?
Right? Like, I looked at Letterboxd and there's like, a few dozen people have seen it on there. And obviously, I'm sure there's areas outside of the internet where it's wider a bit, but it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's insane.
Also, it was nice to see Rafa Racine and EC just, we're being positive and thankful for the podcast, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I don't believe that's real. That's Mega Graphics. He's making shit up.
Okay.
You guys don't remember that what he's saying there is just what the fucking DVD said?
Oh, that's right.
And how when you brought it up, you
all
said,
right.
Yeah.
Well, EC was being positive and wholesome. He was being, all right, yeah, Mega Graphics.
EC was being wholesome. Let me see. Hollow Man complaining about the fucking the trade evolutions or something about Electabuzz and Magmar's way better evolutions are blocked off by trading. Which is bullshit, by the way. And I'm sure I haven't asked this man, but I'm sure this is about the conversation about trade evolutions. But he says, "I hate how Vindy, but he fucking censored my name. What a cringer. Always thinks he's right." To the point where he will never admit he's wrong. Even when he is wrong, he will continue to argue his incorrect point, leading him down a rabbit hole of lies that turn into him just yelling and screaming. These actions cause him to never see the other side of the argument. This is honestly childish behavior, and he needs some milk. Then he says, also, where's We're All Normies 2, you cringer? And then all hell the burrito party. Let it be known, this guy's a big baby, little baby Mulder. And I'm right.
It's not a rabbit hole, it's a rat den.
Okay. I'm leaving the podcast. That's it for me.
All right. So yeah, we did the stream. There's it just happened yesterday, so there's almost no comments on it, but there is one really cringe one. Want me to read it out loud?
I might know that guy. I don't know if he's the same
Horikoshi
person.
writes himself into a corner by making Shigaraki too OP, so he introduced a character that's such a blatant plot device, but I guess Hori never misses, according to Vindy. I am confused what you're talking about. I assume you're talking about the American hero.
Yeah, as if
spoil me.
Wasn't completely planned and he wrote himself into a corner. You don't know that. We don't know how the fight is going to end because I have a feeling he has everything in mind. Calm the fuck down.
Yeah, especially considering we already know how Shigaraki's whole situation is going to end. I don't think it's fair to say, oh, he's super OP, so he had to write himself into a corner. Considering the whole way the series is played out already, such as things like, we already know that One for All has beaten All for One, and that's really the biggest thing that Shigaraki has is All for One. So, That's one thing. Another thing, you know, it's so dumb to like talk about this shit and be like, oh, he's too OP. He's not too OP. It's a fucking story. The person who's gonna win is always gonna fucking win. Like, grow up, right? This isn't like these people watch these people. They watch Dragon Ball as fucking kids, and then the brain rot sets in, and they actually fucking think that like the number that they themselves, not even what the series does, assign to a character in terms of their power means that that's what matters. So, I decided Shigaraki's too OP. He's not OP, right? First of all, overpowered's a game term, right? It's not a fucking video game. It's a fucking manga.
Yeah, I
that you're reading.
Horikoshi
it's a story.
Already knows how Shigaraki's going to be defeated because he wrote his powers and he probably had in mind a way to defeat him. You know, that's probably going to involve a lot of characters and powers and stuff. It's almost like...
Interesting. Wow. Bunch of people working together to beat someone. It's almost like that's what this entire fucking arc has been about from the beginning.
Yeah,
with their Deku shit.
Said how they're all going to be the number one hero. Like, they're all going to be involved. So him being as powerful as he is makes a lot of sense. You can't just have him not get stronger if he's supposed to take on all these people. Like, yeah, Shigaraki has allies, but he still needs to be cracked out himself. Like, I don't know. It's really obvious why he's so strong.
Yeah, saying shit like that, like by saying like, oh, he wrote himself into a corner. He made that, like, that's the exact same shit that we were talking about in that stream when we were mentioning people who just look for flaws in things and are fucking cringers like that. Like, that's what you are, Ombre. Like,
that wasn't. Oh, well, okay. Wait, I thought you were referring to the person named Ombre, not the person who posted the comment.
No, Karma.
Okay, sorry. The fact that you just used a word that I'm like, wait a minute, I know a guy who's called that. So hold on, that wasn't him.
No.
I understand now. I just was confused for a second. And there's nothing on the Reddit, so. We also.
You pogged about nothing on the Reddit? Hateful.
Well, they hate us anyways, so.
We also don't have a topic this week. We're just gonna do two
again
of backlog stuff. Yeah. After Blue Period, episode 8.
Oh, we just jumped right into it. Good show.
Sad.
Oh, you didn't like it, none?
No, it's good.
Oh, he hated it.
But it's like, you know, still watching it. It's like, you know, I think it's good, but it doesn't, like, I don't know, doesn't stick with me or anything.
No. I think, so first of all, I love that in this episode he had to like the mirror broke, right? And like, because he was already planning this whole thing with the mirror and about how, you know,
multiple selves and different
yeah, and then the mirror breaks, and instead of like
duality, he just, you know, goes even further with it. Yeah,
he takes that break and uses it to help enhance his art, which I think is fucking sick.
Yeah,
so
it's honestly, like, what I liked about this episode is just how it, like, really kind of hit a lot of things I've felt, like, when it comes to creative stuff. You know, I mean, for starters, it was just kind of cool seeing his process, but just, like, the way he was, like, getting really into it, and then that kind of, like, mentality of, like, I gotta finish this thing. You know, I've had moments where I've just been, like, really into something and wanting to finish it, whether it's a chapter or something, and just, like, you know, it's a good feeling, and it doesn't happen as much as I'd love to, but it was, you know, he had that. The other thing was, like, when he does, like, you know, he did the first piece, and it was like, damn, I don't know if I could surpass myself. I've had that so many times. Like, I remember when I wrote my fanfiction trilogy, I finished the first one, I was like, damn, I'm really satisfied with this conclusion. I'm going to do a sequel, but I'm probably not going to top it. And then I did the sequel, topped it, and went, damn, that was a pretty good finale. I don't think I'm going to be able to top it. And guess what happened to the third one? Like, he doesn't know where he'll be next time, and so he's having doubts because he's satisfied with what he did. But, you know, if you know, to speak from my experience, I expect him, you know, he's going to hopefully pull out something better when it comes to the second part of the exam. You know, it's just stuff like that just makes me go, like, okay, yeah, this is what I felt as a creator that I'm seeing in Blue Period, and it's really good.
Yeah. I also love the idea that as he's working on the art piece, he kind of has that moment where he's like, you know what? Well, first of all, that entire, like, little monologue he has to himself where he's like, it, like, shows everyone, and he's so, like, feverishly drawing, and then he reaches that point where that, you know what? I don't care about any of that shit anymore. I just want to finish this fucking piece, right? And he's putting everything he has into finishing the art, like in the little time he has. It's so good. Also, the art looks fucking sick. Like, I love how it looks.
Oh no, yeah, it actually, like, you know, I don't know enough about, like, you know, that sort of specific field of, like, paintings and stuff, but it looks, you know, good. And, you know, considering it's just, like, you know, it's coming from a manga, like, I'm interested about the artist, I guess, because, like, they're able to make so many pieces in their story that, you know, look comparable to actual, like, art pieces, I guess. I don't know, that seems like a particular skill, I guess. So I don't know. And it's been like that since earlier on too, but it's really cool.
Yeah. Then the one other thing that I loved the scene at the end of the episode, like, of everyone walking in.
Yes.
The music in it slapped so hard. Like, the music was so good. The face that he made when he fucking walks in there, but also the fact that fucking Yoda didn't make it in.
Yeah, the guy, I was thinking about that too, where he's the guy who was like, oh, all I have is art, you know, you can do anything, but then he got maybe complacent in the exam and he didn't pass. Now this person who is defined by art ain't, or wait, I'm thinking of someone else, or
yeah, no, you are like the right person. No, right person.
Okay, I was like, wait a minute, did I mix up names? Okay, yeah. Yeah, no, that's probably the most interesting thing that could have happened. So yeah, with him, it's cool.
Yeah, it's crazy, and like, I love the way it does it too, because for a second, even though, like, obviously he, you know, was most likely gonna pass, I thought there was gonna be a second where he didn't pass somehow, because Yoda wasn't like Yoda also wasn't in yet, and she's like, there's one more, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like, it was actually, like, there was a moment there where I stopped and I was like, does he not do it here? And then he walks in and I was, let's go. Oh, good. I can't wait to read it.
Yeah, it's gonna be really cool, and even just seeing more of the show, I'm also looking forward to, though. You know, not as much as reading it, but yeah.
None.
That's about all I had to say. So yeah, none doesn't have anything else.
I guess I can bring up one more thing, which is that part where that scene where okay, maybe it's just me because I am mentally ill and have, like, ADHD and shit. But that scene where he's in bed and he's, like, thinking about all these things, like, what if I don't make it? And he's like, you know what? It doesn't do me any good to it doesn't do me any good to, like, keep thinking. I should just go to sleep. And then he's asleep right away. Pissed me off. Everyone knows you tell yourself, I'm not going to think about this anymore. And then 5 hours later, you're still in bed thinking about it. I wish I could sleep like that.
That's so tragic.
All right.
So yeah, none. If you don't have anything else to say, it's your start on the rotations.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I like the part of the episode where they were taking a break from the art and they just went to a museum. I thought it was really cool to see.
No, yeah, because it was. I mean, you even said, like, taking a break isn't slacking off, and I think that's you know, something people forget. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's very easy to feel guilty about that. So I liked that they addressed it in the episode, especially when it, you know, it did just help him for the most part.
Also, I was just thinking about it is I do love how he just has this constant shift, like, throughout the whole show of just like, yes, I did it, I'm awesome, and then no, I suck, I fail, I'm shit, because, like, you know, he did the first piece and he was like, okay, I think I did pretty well, and then he sees the results from the museum thing and was like, no, I was unoriginal, it was boring, it sucked, and it's just like, it's so real and good. Yeah.
It feels real.
Feels real. Go ahead, Nun, with your, you know, rotation.
Oh my god, I don't want to go first.
All right, let's inverse the rotation then. I'll go first. So, a little while ago, I finished for the first time rewatching Kill la Kill, which I first watched, you know, about 8 years ago when it aired, as it came out weekly, because, you know, it was same staff behind Girl in the Gone, which also got a lot of hype when it aired, and I got to watch it weekly as it came out and get involved in the hype and the theory. So watch people theorize and shit. And I was surprised at how much I still remembered from the show. But I definitely think I liked it more this time because, I'm a bit more aware of it and what it's doing. And also, like, I had gone through some of its influences first. So it was kind of neat to see how it was, like, iterating on things that, the staff either had worked on, like Read Cutie Honey, or had mentioned as influences like Sukaban Deka. But honestly, even just on its own, Kill la Kill's really good. I think it's just like the music's good. I think it's really like fun and inventive visually. Like it is always like interesting to look at, I think.
Yeah.
And it's always doing a lot of fun stuff. I love Ryuko. She's
so fucking good. Oh my god.
I kind of like, of course she's like edgy and angry and stuff, but I had honestly forgotten just how fucking cute and adorable she is. Like in the first episode, she like steals the delivery guy's motorbike. And he's like, my deliveries! And she comes back and gives him his food so that he can deliver it. And then, like, a little bit later, you see that she came back and left the bike with an apology note at the school.
Oh.
It's like a brief, like, it's only there for, like, maybe a second or two. In, like, a panning shot of a bunch of students and stuff. But, yeah, so, like, she's joked about as being, like, edgy and a hard ass, and she is kind of like that towards, like, her enemies, but she can't be like that towards, like, normal people or Mako, and so, like, it creates just this dissonance, and she's so fucking good. Mako is also, she's amazing and hilarious, like, with the joke where the hallelujah, like, that somehow never got old because they kept, like, doing more things with it, or just, like, having it occur at, like, the most unexpected times, almost, and, the Satsuki's also good, and, the antagonists, it's just, like, really good and fun. I enjoyed it the whole way through, even the last like epilogue episodes, which I watched like I think a little bit after they aired when they were finally subbed before, and I didn't like it as much as the actual ending. I still don't think I do, but I still think it's a really solid, really solid instead of just like it's fine. Trying to think of what else I have to say about Kill la Kill in general, but I don't know, it's really good, and if you somehow haven't watched it, and especially if you like other stuff like Gurren Lagann or stuff by the same staff, then it's definitely worth a look. I know Vindy, you really like it.
Yeah, I love the I should rewatch it because it used to be a favorite of mine and it isn't right now, and I think that's just because I haven't seen it in fucking years. Mm-hmm. I love the setting of the city.
Mm-hmm.
I really like, and I know why. And I think I would like the second half more in a rewatch, but the first half is literally just like the same plot as like every goddamn delinquent manga on fucking God's green earth, right? Fucking delinquent shows up at the school. The school has like a hierarchy of other fucking, I mean, they're not delinquents in this case, but a lot of times, right, they're at the delinquent school.
Yeah.
Well, they're at the delinquent school, so it's a hierarchy of delinquents at the school, right?
Mm-hmm.
But whatever, hierarchy of students. So then they have to like fucking go and fight all the fucking students in this hierarchy and make a name for themselves at the school. There's the fucking one at the top. Oh, it's so fucking good. It activates my fucking neurons in my brain. I love Ryuko. She's super cute and super hot.
Yeah.
And she eats lemons, rind and all, which is just the silliest thing I've ever seen in my life. There's a whole episode where she's trying to race to school in pajamas that don't fit her. I mean, it's just elite.
You reminded me, because I was watching the live-action adaptation of Sukaban Deka, which was one of the influences. The manga's better, by the way, and I'd recommend reading that if anyone's curious, just because it's good. But there was a part in the live-action show where she like picked up a lemon, and I legitimately thought she was going to take a bite out of it because Ryuko did. And so I wonder if that's where that came, like if that was like maybe someone on the staff, like, because the show is 100% a direct influence. Like if you look at the Sukuban Deka ending theme, it's actually like clear. It was even the staff mentioned it was referenced in the first Kill la Kill ending theme. But I do wonder, because it almost looks like she's gonna take a bite of it for a second, but she doesn't. And I just thought it was funny because then I was thinking ahead to Kill la Kill, and I was like, wait a minute, she enters the series eating a lemon, and it's like, okay, but Kill la Kill's really good. Have you seen it, Nun?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
But
yeah. I don't know if I have much more to say about it. It's cool. It's good. Really solid.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Let me think. Great OPs and EDs as well. Another thing I very much like about it. Let me think. There's got to be.
I personally really like the second OP in particular.
That's my favorite one too.
But they stands out. That one just really stands out to me. It's like, this is a fucking cool OP, and I like it a lot.
I love the way that the second OP shows them all in like different outfits. And,
yes,
and
the way
stuff.
it like quickly goes through all the and it also even adds more as the second half goes on. Which is also cool.
It's super cool. Great OST as well. I think I don't know if it's my favorite, just like Sawano OST based just on the music.
You mentioned that one. You like how it uses the vocals, more so than other shows like Recreators that don't use it as well. I remember that was an old take.
Yeah, well, no. I think that
I'm not saying it was wrong. I'm just saying it's older. So I just remember you saying it for a while now.
Well, the way I feel about it is like, while I don't know if it's like my favorite songs, because I might like some of the songs in the Recreator soundtrack or even the Attack on Titan soundtrack more. I think the way that Kill la Kill uses the songs is fucking elite, actually. Especially the way it uses like Before My Body Is Dry and Blumenkranz are like fucking next level. Like in terms of like just really good usage of the soundtrack to like enhance things, and then like use the song like in the same like situation, I guess, a lot. It's really good. And so that's
while watching the show, I actually had to go download it because I had a moment of like, why don't I have this downloaded already? It's the fucking Kill la Kill soundtrack. It's good.
Yeah, it's also a great song to listen to. I remember when I was playing Sekiro, I was like, I kept getting stuck on bosses, and if I got stuck on a boss, I would just play Before My Body Is Dry every fight, and then when you beat it, listening to that song, you feel fucking pog.
Yeah. Nice. No, yeah, that's a good one.
All right. Well, do I go next now?
Yeah, reversed order. So you go next, and then Manji goes last.
Okay. I will talk about. See, I have two things that I feel like I can talk quite a bit about, and I don't know which to do first. So I'll let y'all vote. Okay. Do I talk about Pokemon first or Baki Part 4 first?
Pokemon.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do Pokemon first.
So I have finished Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. I haven't done everything I want to do in the game, but I have like 43 hours in it. I've done the Elite Four. I've done quite a bit of the Battle Tower. I did the Gym Leader rematches and the first of 2 Elite Four rematches yesterday. And I've spent a good amount of time in the Grand Underground. So I've experienced a lot of what the game has on offer. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. I think part of it is because this is the first Pokemon game I've played non-Nuzlocke that is more, because like I like Sword and Shield a lot, but there are some things it does that make it not feel like a traditional Pokemon game in a sense, you know? Mm-hmm. Where the way the gyms work inside the story are very different. The Elite Four, like in the championship and everything, it's a tournament instead of, like the Elite Four, which I love that it's a tournament. I think that's so sick, but it still is very different. And so I think like that's part of what it is for me is like the last time I played a Pokemon game that's kind of more like basic in structure that wasn't a Nuzlocke was probably like Black and White 2, like years ago. So I haven't played, the shit in a fucking long time, and I'm loving it. It's great. I forgot how fun it is to play a Pokemon game and have Sarah be open the whole time and be looking at the Pokemon on the route, looking for my items and TMs I want and things like that. I forgot how great of a challenge the Elite Four is. Even when it's not super hard, just like doing the Elite Four challenge of like, okay, I'm going to, go here and I'm going to go through it and, like the PP stays and all this other shit. Really fun. I've had a great time with it. I after playing it, I think I can definitively say I would like to replay Black and White and not do a Nuzlocke of them. But I think as of right now, I can say that if I had to rank like my top 3 regions, it is very clearly Johto, Unova, Sinnoh, as opposed to Johto, Sinnoh, Unova. I really like Unova a lot. What are you fucking losing your mind over?
Sorry.
Well, if you saw something on Twitter, you better post it.
No.
What's just something I reposted?
He posted it in Nunmanji. You're toxic. So No, and so I've been really enjoying like the game. I do like Sinnoh a lot. I think Sinnoh's got some really cool stuff. But you know, I also like my biggest, I guess to say my biggest problem with the game first, before I say any more about it, is that like I feel like, you know how like, okay, I haven't played Oras, so I can't say for sure, right? But you know how like a lot of the other remakes do kind of a like it feels like the game is actually being remade in a different gen, right?
Yes.
So Fire Red and Leaf Green feels like a third gen version of Kanto, and Heart Gold Soul Silver is a fourth gen version of Johto, right? And I assume Oras is very similar, but I don't know for sure, right? But my problem with that is this feels too much almost like just the DS games. And in some ways, I think that is good. Like, I actually really like that the Pokedex in this game is actually capped at 4th gen. I actually think that's kind of sick. And then they made it
the
so
national decks?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the way that the first half of the game, before you get the national decks, it's really only the Pokemon, outside of some minor ones in the Grand Underground, it's pretty much only Sinnoh decks. And then when you get the national decks, then the Grand Underground opens up and you get the Poke Radar, and you can go catch the rest of the Gen 4 national decks. And the entire Gen 4 national decks, I'm pretty sure, is catchable in the game. So there's all the legendaries, although some of them, those are Virgin exclusive. All the starters up to that point are available in the game. So that is kind of cool how, like, you can, I guess, get, you know what I mean, the full national decks, but it is... And I actually kind of like that, but there are other things, like the Poketech, which is like the watch that's like the DS touchscreen shit, is in the game, and you have to use it at some points. And it's really clumsily implemented, because if you pull it up, it just goes in the top right corner of your screen and just like sits there. And then like when you want to use it, you have to like make it a little bit bigger, and then like, I don't know if it's touchscreen if you're in handheld, but if not,
It's not touchscreen.
okay, yeah,
There's
you have
no
to like
touchscreen in the game at all. Actually,
drag
It's
like
really weird.
a cursor shows up on screen. You have to drag it to where you want to tap, which is fine for some things. Like, it doesn't matter when you're using like HMs, which you use through that menu, because like, okay, but when you like, a lot of items in Sinnoh were hidden, right? Because the game wants you to use the dowsing machine a lot. It wants you to keep it on the touch screen and be tapping a lot as you go. The problem with that is using the dowsing machine is actually just like really annoying in this game, so you just don't use it. So you just don't get as many of like the items that are like available on routes and stuff, you know. And they didn't like really change how that worked at all. Or what else is there? TMs, and in some ways they changed TMs a little bit. Like, for example, right, when I do a gym and the gym leader gives me the TM, they give me like 5 of them, right? They don't just give you one. When you get an HM, which they're still TMs, but when you get one of those, you get like 5 of them, right? You don't get just one, which is nice. But it is still annoying that it's like, oh, you know, TMs are single use. Because I think that like the change off of single use TMs is just like good for the series, and I don't like they reverted that, because I think there's no reason to revert that change.
Yeah,
and
I
then,
found it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, and then they like didn't revert other things. Like the way HMs work took me so long to figure out, and it's so weird. So when you use an HM, you don't need it on a Pokemon in your party. You just need the gym badge, and then you select it through like the Poketech, and a wild Pokemon uses it.
Oh, okay. Weird.
It was weird, and it took me a while to get used to. And then in some ways, it's like really also weird, because like it fucking I don't know, it just, the game has just some weird things about that, where like it feels like it's more an amalgamation of like Gen 4 and Gen 8 than I would like. I would like for it to just be more of a Gen 8 game. And like visually is actually the one thing I have no problem with. I don't think it needs to look like Gen 8 does visually. I love how the game looks. But I think there are other things they could have done in terms of like quality of life, mechanical changes that they reverted back to how they are in Gen 4 that I think there was no reason to do.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's so weird with the TM thing that it's like, for a while now, Pokemon has moved toward making team building really a lot easier, so that you could play online with multiple different Pokemon and different sets and stuff. And they've gone as far as like literally letting you rent out teams that other people made. Like, you literally just scan a QR or or go to their site or whatever, and you can literally just use somebody's team. You don't need to like catch them or whatever. You just borrow them. So it's like they clearly do acknowledge that people want to use a lot of different teams and sets and stuff. But now with the limited TM thing, they're forcing you to like grind for TMs if you run out of them, which is like, it just doesn't make any sense for what they've been moving toward.
Yeah, and from my understanding, EV training is still pretty easy in the game. And there's a lot of the shit you can get from the battle tower is like the team building stuff, right? Resetting a Pokemon's EVs, resetting their IVs, you know, shit like that, right? So it is weird to me that would exist, and then they keep TMs as single use. It just, I think it's really bad. Like I it's like the one thing that really bothers me. But whatever. It's not the end of the world, and there's so many other things about the game that I'm enjoying that like it isn't the like, again, like it's fine. So it, like, the game is still really good, and I still am really, really enjoying it. And I still have more I want to do, because like I need to do Cynthia's second remake team, or second rematch team, because it's fucking hard. Like, they have like competitive move sets. They're like EV trained and shit. And I learned yesterday when I streamed the gym leader rematches and stuff that even my new team, I think, has some weaknesses that are not going to be usable. Like, there's some Pokemon that probably I just should get rid of because they're going to do nothing for me against Cynthia, and maybe look for something else. Which is sad, because Slugma Balls is such a good nickname, and I want to keep using him, but he's dog shit useless.
When you even mentioned Magcargo yesterday, I was there was a part of my brain that was going, isn't Magcargo kind of dog shit?
But Craftsdwarf, Slugma Balls.
No, yeah, that's great, but you know, as far as like yeah, especially if you're going up what's functionally a competitive team, then you know, good luck.
Yeah. And I need to fucking, like, grind the battle tower to get the hold items I want, because I need a flame orb on my Lodic. It's a fucking mess. But, yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying the game a lot. I think it's like, super sick. I have more I want to do, and then I want to do a shit ton of battle tower grinding, because I want to at least do... Because, like, the battle tower has all of like the gym leaders in it, or like a bunch of, not all I think this game's, but a bunch of like old gym leaders are in the battle tower that you can find and fight. So I want to do all of those. I also want to do, there's so many legendaries, like not only like the ones that you unlock that like you find in normal legendary Pokemon places, right? Like Heatran, Regigigas, Giratina, and Cresselia. The game also has like a different way to get like Raikou, Entei, and Suicune, and Moltres, Zapdos, and fucking Articuno. And I think you could even get, like, some of the other legend, like Kyogre and
Groudon,
and Rayquaza and stuff. So I would like to catch all of those. And I haven't made a legendary catching team, because that was something I did in Soul Silver a lot, was, right? Like, you make a legendary catching team, right? Where you have, like, a Parasect, right? Because they can learn Spore, and then they can learn False Swipe. And then you have, like, other Pokemon that, like, don't do a lot of damage, but do enough to, like, put them into yellow, and then you, like, send in Parasect, you Spore, you, like, False Swipe, and, like, you get them down to, like, 1 HP, and then you start just throwing Ultra Balls. And I haven't done that in so long, so I really do want to do that. And so I really want to, like, max out everything in the game, except for, like, you know, I'm not really a National Dex or a shiny hunting person. So I'm probably not going to do either of those, but outside of that, I've been fucking loving. And I originally wasn't going to buy the Gen 4 remakes, which is, like, I don't know, I was just like, I'm not too interested right now. And then I ended up buying them because a lot of my friends had them and were talking about them. And then now I've played more of it than everyone I know, because I'm fucking, like, almost 50 hours in it. So, you know, whatever. But yeah.
All right.
I'm curious to hear what Nun has to say when he plays, because, I mean, he's playing it sooner than you will, Crafts. Even if you play it eventually, I mean, when the Pokemon podcasts get there, you know, the remake, the Let's Go remake of Gen 4 will be out. So
yeah, probably. Do you have any thoughts on Diamond that you haven't said yet? None? Brilliant Diamond, rather?
I mean, I haven't played a whole lot of it, so it's not like I have anything different than anything I might have already said so far.
I hope it's a better game than Pokemon Red and Blue, is all I'm saying.
No!
Look, I'm enjoying myself.
Red and Blue?
Look, I'm enjoying myself, but that shit is jank. I'm sorry.
Just get missing now.
Anyway, None, go ahead.
So I finished out the two other Batman movies that I didn't see yet. For the I mean, I don't know what that Batman series is specifically called, but fucking whatever it is. 1980 Batman 1989 to Batman and Robin. I watched all those movies. I think what's interesting about Batman Forever and Batman and Robin is that it's like clearly its tone clearly changes compared to the previous two films, because it's trying to be like, I think it was trying to appeal more to kids. Like it wasn't trying to be as dark.
It's wild to me that the movie with Jim Carrey as a villain is not the silliest one.
I mean, he does scream, "Surf's up, big kahuna," in the movie, so I don't know. Like, he kills somebody, and he just says that. It was so weird. But in the previous episode, I talked about how I had issues with Batman killing the Joker because he criticized Catwoman for doing the same to someone else. But like, he's killed people. He killed the Joker. He killed the Penguin. I don't think he was aiming to kill Penguin, but he did end up killing Penguin. And he strapped a bomb to a guy's chest.
Pushed him into a hole. And
yeah, so it's just like, okay, dude. But in Batman Forever, what I thought was interesting was when he was talking to Robin, because Robin's circus backstory, fucking his family dies, and in that film it was Two-Face's fault, and so Robin wanted revenge. But Batman basically had a talk with him, and he basically alluded to the idea of like, he knows what he's going through, and then he said how if you get revenge, it won't solve anything because there'll always be a new person, and you'll always keep going and going for more revenge, but it'll never fulfill it'll never fill the hole in your heart, basically. And I thought, even though it wasn't like as direct about the idea that Batman did kill the Joker in 1989, I do think the movie did. Like, I don't think, the person writing the movie was stupid or anything. Like, I'm pretty sure he was, like, directly trying to, it was acknowledging what happened, in a sense, even if it wasn't, like, super, super direct about it. Especially considering, like, that third film, it was obviously trying to be, like, more kid-friendly, so I guess it wouldn't just, like, say Batman killed the Joker. And since it was a different actor in 1989, they couldn't really show it. So, like, even like I do think it kind of makes it kind of fixes the issue, kind of, sort of, especially with Batman Forever, just kind of focusing on how, like, like the Batman identity, like his entire identity is kind of like he became Batman just because he was trying to have control over everything. Like like Alfred was talking to him. And this might be partially in Batman and Robin, so I might be like mixing it up a little bit, because I know Forever does do that thing, it talks about the revenge thing, but the thing that Alfred said might have been in Batman and Forever, and I might be mixing it up. But Alfred basically says how the Batman thing was for him to have control and kind of, it wasn't Batman Forever, because Alfred was dying in Batman Forever, and he was basically saying how Bruce doesn't want to let anybody die, and it's like, and Alfred was kind of like saying how he was kind of talking about how death was kind of natural in a sense, and that Batman can't really control that, and sometimes things happen and stuff like that. But I do think it, I'm not like super super satisfied. I get like super super satisfied, because it still is weird to think about him killing Joker, but I do think it kind of like fixes it the best it can, in a sense. Like it does use it for Robin pretty well, especially when Robin doesn't end up killing Two-Face. The Two-Face does still end up dying, I'm pretty sure, because basically what happens is Two-Face is about to have Batman and Robin fall like out of a building or whatever, fall like down something. And Two-Face is down there too, and he's like standing on this like beam or whatever, like this thin beam, and he's about to make Batman and Robin fall, but Batman basically says something like, you know how Two-Face's thing is like throwing up a coin and making a decision with it. Batman basically eggs him on into doing that for something, and then when he's about to do it, Batman just throws a bunch of coins at him, and I think he tries to, and he can't. He tries to get a coin so he can do the thing, but he falls. So
Batman kills him, is what you're saying.
I mean, it's more like a kid's movie way, so it's like he might not be dead, but it's like, I don't know. They don't show his body like Penguin or Joker, so I don't know, but I don't know. It's so weird. I think what's really apparent about all these movies is they really do try to go for like a standalone thing for the most part. Just 'cause, like, I did look into the Batman movies a tiny bit and saw that what the fuck was his name? The director of the first movie, the first two movies. I don't remember what his name was. I'm forgetting. But he was basically saying how he doesn't like to do Tim Burton. He doesn't like to do sequels. So the reason why Batman Returns is the way it is and didn't, like in the first movie there was Vicky Vale, who's a romantic interest of Batman. The reason she's not there is because he doesn't want to do a sequel, so he wants to change things up, and that's why he has a different romantic interest, which is Catwoman in that movie. And even when he's not directing the movies anymore, Joel fucking, I don't remember what his last name is, Joel something.
Schumacher?
Yeah. He also continues that thing of like, in every movie, Batman has a different romantic interest. And the weird thing is the first three end up knowing his identity. Like, Vicky knows his identity. Catwoman ends up finding out his identity. I don't know what the third girl's name is. I don't remember her name is, but she ends up knowing. So he's just revealing his identity, but it still doesn't work out. And the fourth movie has somebody new as well, but she's like the one that's like very easily the least focused on. Like in Batman Forever, the one girl, like she's kind of like, I don't know, she's kind of doing that thing where a little part, like part of her being attracted to Bruce Wayne / Batman is just like I wouldn't say it's like fully superficial, but it's like you can't really, I don't think it makes it clear enough what she likes about him. Like there's this whole thing in the movie in Batman Forever where that girl like kind of she doesn't know that Batman and Bruce Wayne are the same person. She has like a crush on Batman, but Bruce Wayne is interested in her, and so he's pursuing her as Bruce Wayne. And she, like, at first she's like, she's not sure because she's interested in Batman, so she doesn't want to do this. And she even says that Bruce Wayne's jealous of Batman. But he says he can't be jealous of Batman for obvious reasons. And she does end up choosing, before she finds out his identity, she does end up choosing Bruce Wayne. So it's like, I don't know, she's not like shallow, I guess, because there was also a scene in the movie where as Batman he came over to her room and she like ended up rejecting him there. So it's like, I wouldn't say she's like she's not like fucking, what is her name, Jane? She's not like Jane from fucking Thor. Mm-hmm. But I still don't think she's like as well done as the previous two movies with Vicky Vale and Catwoman. And in the fourth movie, Batman just like has a girlfriend and she's like hardly in the movie, and you just don't really know much about her. She's the only one of the four to not find out his identity. Just kind of exists. Batman just kind of, and she also just gets like a little fucking cucked, I guess, because like in the movie Poison Ivy has Batman and Robin being attracted to her because she's like using I don't remember. It was like pheromones or whatever the fuck. Like you know, yeah. So Batman and Robin were attracted to her, and when Batman was with his girlfriend in that movie, he was like, he kissed her and then he said Ivy. So it was like, damn. But yeah, I thought the movies were pretty okay. Robin was decent. I thought that he was I think he brought something being there. He brought something to the table being there when it transitioned to being less serious. I think Batman by himself in like a less serious thing would be
it's kind of hard to do.
Yeah, so it just kind of helps it being more distinct in its own thing.
Like, even in, just to give another example, Batman Brave and the Bold, which, is a less serious Batman animated show, like, the structure still focuses, like, every episode he's partnered with another character, so he's never alone, basically, even though he doesn't have Robin. So,
Yeah. I also just thought, like, Batman Forever isn't as bad as people seem to think it is. I'm pretty sure it's not a very liked film, and Batman and Robin is disliked even more. Yeah, Batman and Robin is disliked even more, but like, Batman Forever does also get some hate, and I even watched like an interview of Joel I don't remember what his last name is. I know Vindy just said it, where he basically acknowledged that people didn't love it, but his goal was still to like try and make a comic book come to life or whatever. Which I do think it probably does kind of feel like a comic book watching it. Especially with like how self-contained it is in a sense, because I do think there's plenty of contained issues of comic books that do similar things as the movie series did. Yeah, I also didn't know that Batman and Robin had Batwoman in it. Oh, no, not Batwoman, Batgirl in it. So that was actually something that surprised me. It's the only movie of the four that I've seen any capacity of. Like, I have seen some of Batman and Robin, even if I don't remember it that well. So I thought I knew at least all the characters who were in it, but I just didn't know Batgirl was in it. So that was a surprise, I guess. She's she's Alfred's whatchamacallit, niece in that movie.
Okay. Not Gordon's daughter like normal? Or
yeah, Gordon's in the movie series, but he's not important at all.
Okay.
He's just this fat old police guy who gets seduced by Poison Ivy and gives her the keys to Batman's signal.
Silly movie. I love Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. That's like that, and then Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy are so ingrained in my childhood fucking like I don't know, like my because my brother's favorite superhero was Batman and mine was Spider-Man. There's still are, but like as kids especially, right? So we watched a bunch of the Raimi trilogy because I would pick it, and a bunch of like Batman and Robin because he would want to turn it on, right? So I saw that movie so many times, and let me tell you, dude, as a young boy, that Poison Ivy, did things for me. Yeah. I don't wonder how I'd feel about it now if I rewatched it, but I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but I watched it all the fucking time as a kid.
Yeah, I do think they're still pretty decent. Like, even Batman and Robin, the one that's hated, it's fine. Like,
I love the part where Mr. Freeze has like his henchmen come in and they're fucking figure skaters. It's so funny. Or maybe they're hockey players. They're like ice skating around the fucking museum. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Or no, it wasn't the museum. It was at the auction, right?
No.
I don't know.
I don't think it was an auction.
I don't know. I haven't seen the movie in probably 15 years. No, longer than that. Fuck. I haven't seen the movie in like 18 years.
I do think after I watched all of these four, I'm not entirely ready to watch more Batman movies just because it's like...
No, because next you have my favorite Batman movies, the Nolan trilogy.
I think these, like, not burned me out of watching Batman, but I want to take a little break just because, like, they weren't, like, great or anything, and I do think over the course of the series, I wouldn't say they got consistently worse because I do like Batman Forever a little bit more than Batman Returns, but...
Yeah. I do think,
you know,
I get that. I do think the Nolan trilogy are very different tonally and
yeah,
how
I know they're very
Batman
different, but I don't know.
seen
I just
them
kind of
before?
want there to be a little bit of time between. No, I haven't.
Whoa,
Oh, you
okay.
you're in for a treat with The Dark Knight.
That's always interesting to hear because, like, from my perspective, like, when, especially after The Dark Knight, like, you know, the Nolan trilogy was kind of a big deal. And also, The Dark Knight Rises, of course, had, like, still has staying power with fucking Bane memes. Phenomenal.
Yeah, because that's the thing
Thanos
for you,
before
Crash, is
Thanos?
even if
Question
you
mark,
hadn't
question mark?
seen, even if you hadn't seen like The Dark Knight before, like Dark Knight Rising came out, once Bane posting was a thing, you had to have watched them all because fucking Bane posting was the biggest deal in the world.
Right, and even the first one made waves when Batman Begins. You know, as like because people were, you know, it was good, and I need to rewatch them myself. But like The Dark Knight was something else, and the response to it, and also, you know, Heath Ledger passing away added to the, you know, just general sense.
And then winning the Academy Award after
Right.
passing away.
Right. So, you know, so it's just, yeah, I mean, I understand why you hadn't seen them none, because, you know, you were fairly young when they came out, I'm sure, and you just haven't gotten
No,
around
it's
to
not
them.
that. I've had the opportunity to watch at least one of them. Like, I know, like, I'm pretty sure my dad had a DVD of it or something, and I just wasn't interested.
Okay.
I mean, I think I told you guys before, but I was basically like thinking that you know, I just didn't think the live action Batman stuff would be as good as the cartoon stuff, so I just kind of didn't care to watch it. So yeah, that's mostly why I haven't seen them. And the only reason I saw Batman and Robin was because I was so young that like my grandfather just had, like, he owns Batman and Robin, and I guess he was watching it, so I just kind of watched it, but that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess one thing that wasn't as like silly as I thought it was the part where Robin had plastic on his lips.
No, that part goes hard. I love that part.
Okay, I see.
Because in my memory, the way the plastic looked was a lot sillier. Like, it looked like he had like tape over, like straight up tape over his mouth, and just ripped off a whole thing of tape.
No, you can't see it. It's like a reveal.
Yeah. How it is in his, like, in the movie makes more sense because it's like over, like, it's not one big piece over his entire mouth like I thought. That's
what I was envisioning when you said plastic lips. Like,
it literally,
it's like literally
you could
over
just think
his
he's
two
like
lips.
wearing like lip gloss or lipstick or something, and he just like pulls it off, and it's fucking, it's badass.
Yeah, it's different than how I remembered it. Yeah, that's about it. Fucking
all right. Rotation 2. So I have been playing Metroid games. I'm currently playing Metroid Prime, but I've already finished in order of the, you know, when playing them, Metroid Zero Mission, another Metroid 2 remake, Return of Samus, Super Metroid, and Metroid Fusion. I did enjoy all of them. I also didn't love any of them, I would say, but I had a good time. You know, as far as like 2D Metroid goes, I still have to play Metroid Dread at some point, but I don't own it. So, you know, who knows when that'll happen. But as for the ones I did play, Zero Mission was cool. I actually hadn't played this one before. I did play a bit of the original Metroid because if you do certain connectivity things between Metroid Fusion and Prime, you unlock the ability to play Metroid on Metroid Prime, basically. But I definitely didn't play very much of that because it's a little rough, especially as a kid, not knowing what I'm doing. But you know, I still think Zero Mission is pretty cool and fun. Like, it's just a really solid 2D Metroid title, and it's probably like my second favorite of the ones I played. I do not like the final boss. Mother Brain is awful fighting her.
No.
But other than that, the you know, the post game sort of stuff was cool to mention. I don't know. None's playing it right now, so I don't want to spoil. You know, there's a really cool moment in particular that I think suit related, and I don't know, there was just some neat things even with like finding stuff in the game that you don't know what it is, because like, which was weird, and I was like, what the hell, this has never happened in a Metroid game, but that, you know, has a good payoff. And you know, in general, it's a solid, just fun time. It was pretty short, you know, so, but I enjoyed it. Another Metroid 2 remake, which was a fan remake, and it was actually like control wise, I mean, probably because I was playing it on a gamepad, I thought it controlled the best out of all the 2D Metroid games that I played. Like I wish I could play Super Metroid like that, because it was just like really smooth and good to control. And I think the bosses overall were like really good and probably the strongest in the 2D Metroid games I played. Well, maybe not overall, because my problem with the game and the reason I didn't like it as much as Zero Mission or Fusion was twofold, I guess. One of them is that because the whole point of the game is you're going to SR-388 to exterminate the Metroid species. Basically, you're a genocider and you have to genocide. So that a lot of the fights in the game are against the Metroids, and they do have like 4 different forms. But that doesn't really help, or no, I guess 5 forms, yeah. But that doesn't really help the fights from being repetitive, I think. Like, the first one is kind of neat, and then you have to do it like 5 more times. Have fun. And at that point, it's like, okay, well, it's not as interesting anymore. And there are a couple that manage to be interesting, I think. Like, there's one later on where you fight, like, there's like a early plated Metroid one that's like the first one you fight. And like way later in the game, you fight like 6 or 7 at the same time. So that was a bit like of a oh fuck moment. But aside from stuff like that, which doesn't happen that often, the Metroid fights just got kind of repetitive. And considering they make up so many of the major encounters in the game, it kind of felt like a chore a bit by the end. Like oh boy, the Mega Metroid, the strongest one. That was a really cool fight, I guess. Oh, I have to do 3 more. Great, wonderful. Which is the same because I think overall, like, the bosses, and especially like all the bosses you fight once, are actually like really solid and good. And again, I think the other issue I had with it is just more of how I prefer Metroid games, because how it kind of works is like you go to an area and it's almost like there's like this one big like central zone, and then there's like a bunch of like paths you can take because you're supposed to like spread out and search and try and find the Metroids. So it's almost a bit more like open in that sense, which I felt like made for a less interesting game experience, because it like structurally you just kind of like go to an area, you find upgrades, and then you kill the Metroids, and then you go to the next area. And just the way it was kind of like clustered, where it's just like because I was used to the regular Metroid structure of you find an upgrade, you go, you use that upgrade to open up another path until you eventually find a boss and or another upgrade, which allows you to go through more paths. And I just prefer that structure, where in this case it was more like, okay, here's a bunch of upgrades at once. Now finish these bosses. Okay, go to the next area, and then you'll probably get more like 1 or 2 upgrades at once. And I just didn't enjoy that as much. When the progress was linked to me killing the Metroids rather than finding items to open up new paths, basically. I just so even though like it controlled it really well, and I think it has some of the best bosses in the 2D Metroid games I've played. It's just like the fundamental game there of killing the Metroids to progress just didn't work for me. So overall, it was I didn't love it. Then we got Super Metroid, which I did play it a year or 2 ago, I think. I think I emulated it before, and this time I played it on the Switch Virtual Console, or on the classic SNES Classic. And yeah, I just can't get into this game. Which
Wait,
is kind of a shame.
It?
Super Metroid.
Oh, okay.
So sad, so tragic. Even
we talked about it because you really like Super Metroid. And I do really like the first half in particular. Like, I do think it's like really well designed, and considering that like this was the third, like the prior Metroid games came out on the the NES and the fucking Game Boy, not even the Game Boy Color, just the fucking ass Game Boy. Like, Super Metroid is a huge fucking jump in a lot of ways, and I recognize that. But it was never, technically the first 2D Metroid I played a lot of was Metroid Fusion, 20 years ago when it came out almost. And then later when I remember playing it in high school a lot, which I'll talk about. But yeah, like, Super Metroid does a lot of cool things, and I think it is a huge jump for the franchise. And I guess, people like it because of, well, I know you specifically don't, you mentioned that you don't care as much for like the sequence breaking and stuff, and like cool things that people like to do.
It's not that I don't care for it, it's just that I don't personally do it. I think it's really cool that it exists in the game, and I love watching videos of doing it. But I like playing the game in the full order. It's fun that way.
Yeah, that's also my preferred order, is just to generally do it how it was intended to be played. And I don't know, I just think that once you get to the second half of the game, I don't know. Well, I also just don't like Merida, the water zone. I just don't like it, and also like the bosses at that point just get really more annoying than fun. And probably the biggest part for me is just like I just don't care for how the game controls. Like I mentioned, it like if there was like a Super Metroid remake that by the AM2R team, then like that would I might love that game because I just
give me a Super Metroid remake that's the game as is but takes Dragon out, and I'll be fucking all about it. Fuck Dragon, I hate that boss. I hate
the ghost guy with the blue flame and the green guy who just
you hate Fantoon?
Yeah,
I think Fantoon. I love Fantoon.
No, annoying.
I think Fantoon.
But yeah, on
oh wait, no, I'm thinking of the wrong thing.
I don't know. But anyway, but yeah, like it just like the game was kind of a chore to control. Like I think like the grapple beam I didn't like. The wall jumping is kind of like not intuitive, which I mean even because you can still wall jump even in Metroid Fusion and AM2R even though you don't need to. And so like and the wall jump just kind of works better in those games I think compared to Super Metroid because the timing is just off, and so it's just I don't like it. And I don't know, yeah, I just can't get into Super Metroid for whatever reason. It's just not my thing, I guess. I don't know. Which is sad because I know it's like generally like highly regarded, but I just can't. I haven't had a good time with it. And I do admit, like, part of it was definitely that I was playing on the Switch, like I was describing how in order to switch from beams to missiles, you just hit select button once, or on the Switch it was the minus button. But in order to switch back from missiles back to beams, you have to hit it like 4 more times. And I was playing on a Switch, so I was using the D-pad to control it because it's a fucking Super Nintendo game. I'm not going to use a control stick. So the minus button is like I have to reach over the control stick to do it, which means I can't move while I'm like trying to switch my weapons, and so that definitely impacted my experience.
Fucking Switch L, dude. Holy shit. Can't play a fucking game from 20 years ago. Holy fuck.
Yeah, and it just like in comparison, like I think Zero Mission and Fusion are just like all you have to do is hold down the B button and hit R, or hold down the R button and hit the fire button to use your missiles, as opposed to the beam, which is just more simple, and like you can alternate between the two really quickly, and that's helpful because if I'm low on ammo, I need to use my beam, but then I want to use my missiles again because that's like most of the only way to damage bosses in Super Metroid. So I don't know, just didn't work for me. I don't think I had that. I don't remember if I had that problem on the emulator though, because I would have been playing on a gamepad, I assume. But it's been a while, so I don't remember how I played the game. But yeah. And then anyway, as for the last one, I do the ending's still cool, I guess, for Super Metroid. But yeah, and my favorite of the 2D Metroid games so far is Metroid Fusion, which it's also the one I played the most. Though I think I had it rated just from memory as an 8 out of 10, but then I lowered it to a 7 after replaying it. So my memories didn't hold up, I guess, but I still like it quite a bit. It has the strongest like narrative of the Metroid games, I think. Like the gameplay is really like probably the most solid. Aside from like never mind, because I just remembered. I already said AM2R had the best controls. But yeah, like how the story ends up working out, just with the general idea of like, because I was talking about this before, and I'll go into more detail here, because I think what people generally complain about Fusion is that it's linear, which I mean. I haven't played a Metroid game that wasn't intended to be linear. Like again, Super Metroid's, sequence breaking. Like not that there isn't like cool stuff to find that you don't need to. Like I don't think you need the X-ray scope. Like that's optional, but you can go find it, and if you explore, and that's cool. Where with Fusion, you're kind of on the rails with some paths, but they usually, especially like later in the game, they throw curveballs at you, and very much like you're not under the same control you were with the AI dictating your path and stuff, which works into the narrative because there's kind of this whole bend of challenging systems that maybe aren't necessarily, or rules and authority that isn't necessarily has your best interests in mind. Basically, as it turns out, hey, the Federation is up to some shit, and also they don't like Samus getting more power than they want, and so you breaking free from the control and going a bit out of line in a sense like works for that, because like they're trying to control you. Samus is becoming too powerful, and breaking from that control, and I thought that was a really cool way to fit that. Like I hadn't realized that before, how it fits into the gameplay. So even if people again don't like that because they prefer how Super Metroid works, I understand, but it works for what Fusion is doing, and I think that's cool, and it also just naturally fits with how I tend to play Metroid games anyway. So I'll probably talk about Fusion, if not next week, then the week after, or not Fusion, Prime, because Metroid Prime is fucking great. I'm maybe about halfway through it, but or almost halfway through it, so it's really cool. But yeah, I am done, unless someone else wants to talk about Metroid games.
I like Super Metroid. I don't know. I mean, I guess I could say a little bit about it. I think what I like a lot about Super Metroid is I don't have the problem I do with a lot of other Metroidvanias, where like sometimes like when I play Hollow Knight, it feels like the map is like too big, or I never know, because specifically the thing with the sequence breaking thing you mentioned was like I was kind of making like a point that like I think it's very obvious. Like in Hollow Knight, right? You'll reach an area and I won't know because the game has like like the pogo jumping, right? Where you can attack the ground and you go up. There are areas they get to where I don't know, am I able to do this now, or am I not supposed to, and I'm actually supposed to go get like a double jump and like an air dash and then come back? And I think the game doesn't do a great job of telling the player like all the time, like when you reach an area, if you're actually stuck there or if there's something you don't know, or if it's just like a challenge, maybe like a skill test that you're supposed to pass. But I think Super Metroid does a really good job of that, where I can walk into a room, or I mean, most of the time you can't even walk into the room, but if I walk into a room and can't do anything, generally I have a thought of, okay, I'm supposed to come back later. The only time where it's like you have to even like wall jump is if you fall in that pit, and there it's like, okay, it's the end of the game, I know there's not another ability, I have to wall jump out, right? And so I think that Super Metroid does a really good job of making it easy for the player to play it without needing a guide or getting stuck for large periods of time, outside of one minor thing where you have to like super bomb in a tunnel that I do think is a little bullshit. And so I think that like that's just kind of where I stand with the game, where it's like there are things it does that make it a little bit more simple and like make it much easier to go through without having to like wander around for a long time compared to other Metroidvanias where I feel like I spend most of my time not making any kind, because like I don't care, like for example, right, like to go back to Pokemon to explain what I mean by progress, right, because I don't necessarily mean I'm moving through the game, but like I spent like 10 hours this week in Pokemon grinding the battle tower, but I was okay with that because I was making progress towards getting BP up to get lucky eggs, right? So I consider that progress. What I don't consider progress is spending 10 minutes at a challenge to only find out it's not actually a challenge and I'm here too early. Because I feel like the game didn't adequately communicate that.
Right, like trying to pogo jump over a bed of spikes in Hollow Knight only to find that you're supposed to get another upgrade and come back later. Yeah.
Right, only to find out that I can't keep pogo jumping here because I'm supposed to air dash and then double jump over something else. And so that's like kind of my biggest issue with some Metroidvanias is I feel like there's a lot of time that's just actually wasted. And Super Metroid, I don't feel that. I feel like
one thing I really like about Metroid's design is just how, and Super Metroid, comes to mind in particular, is just the way it like very clearly like you see. I mean, obviously, I definitely think other Metroid games are a bit better at it in some ways that like because Super Metroid will sometimes have blocks that don't you're not clear about what they do. Where in later games, like you can reasonably bomb any block and it'll show you what kind of block it is. And stuff, which Super Metroid I noticed was a little less good in that area. But even so, like the way like. Even like the first area, I remember there's one part where you see like a hold for a morph ball, but then you go through it and then you actually need like a morph ball bomb or something to continue, and it's very so like it. I just remember that because it like kind of keeps it in your memory because like, oh, you remember this thing, well now you'll remember this other thing when you come back. Like they don't overwhelm you right away with different ways to progress in the game basically. So yeah. Where in the case of Hollow Knight, like in that instance, like it's not very clear about what items you need to go ahead because you have capabilities that like the pogo jump, right? So
right, and so that's what makes me just really like, and it makes me want to play the other Metroid games because I feel like what I like about Super Metroid will be in all of them, because I do think part of it is just a fundamental mechanic of how Metroid is designed, right? Where with the way you have like powers and how obvious the powers are for what they can do. So
yeah.
Okay, so do I go now?
What the fuck?
What? Do you have something to say about Metroid?
Never mind. You
No,
hate
actually,
me.
no. Talk about Zero Metroid Mission, if you have anything to say.
I mean, I was just gonna bring up how Vindy earlier brought up the comparison to Hollow Knight, and I, from having played some of Hollow Knight, I guess I do super see what he was saying, in a sense, because like, I think Hollow Knight's kind of harder for me to return to when you don't play for a little bit, because it's like, it is just less clear of what you can do at the given moment, so I don't know if like I can go to this area or I need to find something. And I think Metroid's just like really, for the most part, pretty good at having you be able to tell that you kind of need to go get an ability or that you can do something. You know, I haven't played like a whole ton of Metroidvania, so I don't know if it's just something that like Hollow Knight specifically Hollow Knight specifically isn't as good at, or if it's just like Metroid's just so good at it that like, you know, that it's just like not every Metroidvania is as good as it at doing that. But I do appreciate how much easier it is in Metroid, and surprisingly so, considering like, you know, I have had Metroid Fusion as a kid, but as a kid I never beat it just because it's like I probably just didn't know where to go because I don't know, I was just dumb about it. But now it's like pretty straightforward for the most part on where to go. The only thing that got me so far was just like one speed boost thing that I didn't notice, so it was just kind of like
the
wandering
speed boost is definitely
more.
like not my favorite Metroid item, especially when they start needing you to do shine sparks and shit. And I'm just like, I don't like this. I never have. So yeah.
You could go ahead, Vindy.
Okay, I'm gonna talk about Baki Do or Baki Part 4.
Are you caught up now to the whole series? Or
No.
Okay.
Part 5 is Part 5 is troublesome. Me and Part 5's relationship is strenuous right now. So the thing about Part 4 is that it's fucking awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and say who the main villain of Part 4 is because I actually have to explain why the part is so fucking good. They bring Musashi Miyamoto back from the dead. All right. It's fucking dope, okay? Because like the entire like Baki is kind of moving towards this direction where it's like now it's like, okay, we know who the strongest people currently on Earth are, right? Like of this modern time, right? It's Yujiro and then it's kind of Baki as well. So then before though in Part 3 there's Pickle, right? The big caveman who they bring back. But then in Part 4 it's great because it's like it kind of goes through this whole thing where a lot of the characters kind of feel like, you know, it's almost, I think, like a representation, like the characters at the beginning of the part. It's like almost this really cool representation for, I think, how a lot of people might have been about Baki at the start of Part 4, where I think a lot of people always saw Yujiro as like the final antagonist of the series. And so after the Yujiro fight, you know, they might be kind of bored with Baki, and a lot of the characters in Baki are kind of bored with their lives, right? And then Musashi Miyamoto comes in, and okay, so in all of the other parts of Baki, there is no like main antagonist for the entire part, right? In Baki Part 3, which has, I think, the least number of people that Baki really fights, right? There's 3 major antagonists. He has one other fight against the guy, but it's not like an antagonistic fight. It's like they're fighting because everyone in Baki fights all the time. So there's like 3 major antagonists in Part 3. Part 2 has a tournament and then 6 other antagonists in one arc, and then Part 1 it just has tournaments, right? And Part 4 is long, and it's all Musashi Miyamoto the entire time. So he fights just about every principal cast member, all right? People die in Baki Part 4. Someone dies. Like, dead. Like, they're gone. All right? It's fucking bonkers. And I think Musashi Miyamoto is, like, actually the best antagonist in Baki, more so than Yujiro, especially after the way the Yujiro fight plays out, and then the way that Musashi Miyamoto stuff plays out. It's so different. And the cool thing about Musashi Miyamoto is like it brings up like this idea in Baki where like a lot of these people aren't like fighting because they're like warriors, right? They're fighting because they like to fight, right? They're martial artists. But Musashi Miyamoto is a warrior, right? He's from an era where you kill someone at the end of a fight. You know, you don't fight and then, you know, you win and you just kind of let him go. You fight to kill. Right, and so that's how he fights, and so that's like this entire long thing that happens in the part is just like, you know, a lot of these characters that we see as like some of the strongest fighters in the world maybe put on a good show and then kind of just lose because they're not warriors, right? And then there's one guy who is, and he is so weak, he kind of gets bodied in the first tournament of part 1, and then he's like kind of there and everyone knows who he is, but he's not that like huge because he's not one of like the strong, like Baki very much has like this group of people that show up after part 1, after the tournament in part 1, that are like the 5 or 6 strongest dudes, right? This guy who's like gets bodied in the tournament is not one of them, but he's so cool because he's essentially like a ninja. And so he has a fight with Musashi Miyamoto where Musashi's got the swords, he's got all these ninja tools, and he's like finally gets his time to shine because like he trains his whole life like as actually like a warrior, right? Instead of just training as a martial artist. And so he finally like, you know, because one of the key rules in the Korakuen Hall, like underneath it, is, you know, it's no weapons. But for Musashi Miyamoto, they abolished the no weapons rule so he can have his katanas. So then now this guy who trains in weapons finally gets his chance to shine and like actually shows that with weapons, he's fucking cracked out of his mind.
So he's actually really strong. He's just not fighting on his own terms in martial arts, right?
Yeah. It's super good. And like there's so many, because like more so than with Yujiro, Musashi Miyamoto does lean more towards like a villainous role. It allows, I think, a lot of other people to have really cool, like, hero moments, right? So instead of it just being like, oh my god, they're so cool, they're big and they're strong and they're doing cool shit, it's actually like, they're fucking, like, standing up to the bad guy, right? It's got you pogged up in a very different way, right? It almost feels the most like a more traditional, like, battle shonen arc in that kind of way. Especially because, like, Musashi, like, rinses the whole fucking cast of the goddamn manga. Like, it is, like, actually, like, how the fuck is he gonna fucking lose? And then, like, Baki actually, it's so good. It's so fucking good. It, like, I think that it's my favorite part, even though the Baki Yujiro fight, in terms of a single fight, is probably my favorite fight. The whole, like, build-up of Musashi Miyamoto, and the way he's drawn, and, like, the role he plays in the manga being very different, and, like, just the way everything comes out. And I've posted this image a lot. I could post it if you want, but like there's like this page and it's like, it says this line that I fucking love near the end of the part where it says, it's like, someone who works hard can never beat someone who enjoys himself. And it's like, it's a guy talking about Baki, right? And he's like basically he like asks someone else, like, you know, how often in a day do you take a break from thinking about like martial arts, right? Or war? And they both kind of like have a point where they're like, yeah, it's like to eat, to sleep, and like that's kind of it, right? But the rest of the day. But then they're like, Baki spends all day thinking about it. That's all he thinks about because he has fun doing it, right? And so then like it's not that like Baki doesn't work hard, but it's that Baki works hard automatically because he has fun doing what he's doing, which is also great because it ties into that whole thing where like Baki keeps saying like, oh, I don't need to fight. I don't really care about that. Yes, you fucking do, Baki, you little liar boy. It's so good. I fucking love part 4. It fucking activated my neurons. And then part 5, I can't understand. I don't know what's happening. So part
like,
5
what the
is.
hell did you mean by you have a strenuous relationship with part 5? Okay.
Here's the problem with part 5. It's a sumo part.
Oh.
And it's a sumo part and uses a lot of sumo language.
So basically, you got to go read Hinamaru Zumo. And
yeah,
then
I gotta go. I gotta go
5.
take like a college level class on sumo so that I understand all these fucking terms that are being thrown out at me. Because it's not even just like sumo techniques terms. It's like actual like terms about like the people in sumo society and like your ranking
like
in
the
that,
Yokozuna
like sumo
and
stuff.
other terms.
Yeah,
I guess,
yeah, but
like
the Yokozuna, but I know what Yokozuna means.
Right,
right?
Because that's
like,
the best, the leader,
right.
the top. Right.
So it's all these other terms. I don't know what any of that shit means. Right. So I'm just confused reading it half the time. But the main guy, this part's really cool because he grabs people's bones through their skin. Like at one point he like grabs a guy and he like goes behind his back and like grabs his fucking like his like the back of like his like shoulder blades and he flips them from his shoulder blades through the skin. It's insane. It's so cool. But yeah, hard to read. Okay. But yeah, I like Baki Part 4 a lot. I think it's absolutely worth reading through Part 4. It goes so hard. There were so many moments because Part 4 is like I think 200 chapters. I read it in like a day while I was at home for Thanksgiving. And I stayed up to like 5 a.m. reading. And I was like losing my shit alone in like my room at like 4 a.m. because I was just reading it and I was fucking popping off at how fucking awesome it was.
Nice.
So,
is it my turn again or?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was thinking about something while I was listening to that I forgot to mention about Batman, and it was like something that I thought it was really not good. Like I don't know if I missed something, but I just wanted to bring it up real quick. In Batman and Robin, right after Batman defeats Mr. Freeze, at first I was like thinking it was good because it's like that's the first time in a movie where Batman really, he doesn't kill anybody. None of the villains die. Ivy's still alive. Freeze is still alive, and Batman even like tries to like give him a little redemption thing, like he's saying, he's basically telling Mr. Freeze to do the right thing and to hand over this like diamond thing so that they can find the cure for his wife and find the cure for Alfred, because in that movie Alfred's dying. He has the same condition Mr. Freeze's wife has, just not as severe yet. And Mr. Freeze, does give it to him and is doing the right thing. And like it's such a nice scene because there's like this sun beaming behind Batman, and he's like, it's so cool because it's like Batman was killing people and doing all this crazy stuff, but in this final movie he's like actually fucking being a cool guy. But like what was weird about that was after that whole thing, Mr. Freeze is in jail, right? And in jail he's about to like do bad things to Poison Ivy because he found out that Poison Ivy was the one who pulled the plug on his wife, and so it's like it kind of cheapens the like redemption or whatever that Mr. Freeze was getting when he's just like being all villainous in jail or whatever. So it's just like what
Yeah.
Like I get he wouldn't forgive Poison Ivy obviously, but it's like why would you even put that scene in the movie? Like I'm sure he does still go to jail, like he froze the entire city, but like they didn't need to show me that. Like I don't know, it was really weird and not a good scene. But anyway, I didn't experience anything new this week, but I don't think I talked about this in a weekly. I didn't talk about Treasure Planet in a weekly, right?
Oh my god, Treasure Planet.
Yeah, so I'm just going to talk about Treasure Planet because I have nothing else to talk about. Really good movie. I'm glad I watched it. I think it's a tragedy that it wasn't more popular than it was when it came out. I didn't expect the movie to get me kinda with whatchamacallit. What the fuck is his name? See, I don't even remember his name now. Fuck, let me look at his name real quick. Yeah, Jim, like his relationship.
Like the name of the main character from the book Treasure Island?
I never read Treasure Island. Shut up.
It's a good book. You should read it. It actually goes hard.
Well, probably won't ever read it.
You hate me?
I don't. I'm just being honest. I'm probably never gonna read it. But anyway, Jim's like whole thing with what the fuck is his fuck. I hate that I don't remember any of their names now. Hold on, I'm gonna find this real quick. Is his name John Silver? What the fuck? I don't remember his name being John.
It's Long John Silver. Yeah, it's Long John Silver.
Okay. His entire thing with Long John was just like actually great.
Yeah.
Like Long John at first, obviously not caring about him at all, but like him taking care of Jim over the course of the movie was really good, and like Jim having this father bond with him was really great. And I love that it's like obviously John didn't end up just like being the villain for like fully the villain. Like he's he still cared about Jim even after he was trying to get the treasure. And I thought that was really good to keep in the movie. Like he didn't just go full villain mode. He didn't like not care at all. He did care, and that held him back and kind of made him not just like kill Jim, even though he had opportunities to do so. And I really love the entire montage they had before Long John like had the coup on the ship, because it's like Jim just like kind of being like softening up kind of and actually enjoying being on the ship, and having this kind of male role model he didn't have was really great. Probably like the best part of the movie, honestly. Like obviously the end parts were good, but I think those parts made me feel the most. But is it a good movie? I'm glad I saw it. Sad that there never got a sequel or anything. I mean, I don't know what the sequel was supposed to be, but it is a very good looking movie too. I really like. I think the pirates in space thing was really cool.
We love.
Very
space
glad
pirates.
I watched it.
Yeah. Cool. So next week
I want to talk about Treasure Planet a little bit because I have a lot about it. Because it's the first movie. It's okay. I think I've talked about this before. It's the first or second movie I remember seeing in theaters. It was either Treasure Planet or it was a Muppets Christmas movie. I think it was a Muppets movie that Steve Irwin was in, I think. If Steve Irwin was in a Muppets movie, then that's it. Or like one of the first two movies I remember seeing in theaters as like a young kid. And I watched it all the time growing up. I remember I had like the little McDonald's toy at the Treasure Planet GBA game. So I like that movie a lot. That's like a super important movie to young me. And then I haven't rewatched it since I read Treasure Island a couple years ago. But I imagine, a lot of the things of the story are still the same, right? Like I love Jim's relationship with Long John, right? Because like Jim is someone who like he wants to find adventure, right? And that's why he ends up on the boat, because he's looking for adventure. And Long John's someone who comes from adventure, right? And so Long John, though, pretends to be like this really nice guy who still, is very adventurous and takes care of Jim. And then it's revealed he's a pirate, right? And he's a bad person. And I really like that Jim sides with, all of the people on the, like he sides with like the good guys, right? He doesn't side with the pirates. Even though like that's what Long John was. And I think part of that, like you could look at it as like, because Long John was lying to him, right? He was pretending to be this like good guy who also, had like this adventurous spirit when he wasn't that. It's really good story. I should rewatch the movie because I loved it a lot as a kid, and I fucking love that book. That book is so good. So
nice. So next week I might talk about. I've already watched it, but I've already rewatched for the third time Fooly Cooley, and I think I'm gonna watch the newer ones that I have no expectations for, no positive expectations at least, alternative and progressive. Maybe I'll talk about those. Maybe I'll finish Metroid Prime and talk about that. I don't know. Maybe
you could watch Code Geass instead. That makes more sense, right?
No. Oh yeah, I'm also gonna have Kobato done by next week, so maybe we'll talk about that.
I mean, I'm gonna be caught up on Osama ranking by the time next week comes around, so I might talk about that. I will definitely 100% be done with Mob Psycho by the time I fucking the next weekly comes out. I will definitely be done with it. I didn't read it because I wasn't reading much of it because I don't know, fucking work cringe, and also just like I was at a very good spot, I guess, in terms of like it was a nice break between the big arc that I just read, so it's not like I was in the middle of anything crazy or any like really super good stuff, but like right now I'm in like literally in really good stuff, and it might be the final arc, I don't know, but I'm definitely not going to be putting it down, so I'm going to finish.
Nice. Vindy?
I have zero fucking clue. There is so next week is my finals week. There is a very high chance that all I do this upcoming, like the rest of this weekend and then next week, is study for finals and play Pokemon.
Okay.
So,
I mean, in emergency, there's Black Widow, which none of us talked about today. So
alternatively, it's very high possibility. I just which I did like Black Widow, and I would have things to say about it. there's a very high chance, realistically, I just like watch a random movie over this next week.
Oh yeah,
like I just find a
random
movie
movies,
on like Netflix or HBO or something, and I just turn it on and then I just talk about that.
Oh yeah,
Watch
speaking of movies, it was
what the fuck is it called? Fuck, I remember. Oh, Mitchell's versus the Machines. Watch that.
You know what I was thinking of watching? I was thinking of watching that. You know what else I was actually thinking of watching?
What?
The new Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie.
It's not a movie. It's a
I
cartoon series.
I thought it was a full-on movie.
No, it's a fucking cartoon movie. Not a movie. Fucking like show.
Well, then I might watch that. I want to watch it anyways, so that might be what I talk about if I decide to sit through it.
I also might, because I have it in theaters near me, watch Sword Art Online Progressive.
In English.
Oh.
Yeah, in theaters. Oh, no, I'll watch it in subbed, you know.
You're fucking wrong, Nunmanji.
It doesn't
You're literally
have
a liar. It's a fucking 58-minute long movie. It's not a series. It's not a show.
Oh, okay, I thought you were talking about something else. Are you fucking serious?
I'm looking at it right now on Disney Plus.
Sad.
Don't lie to me ever again.
I thought it was a fucking show. Sad.
But yeah, anyway, that about covers it. So see you guys next week.